So I got invited to this fairy tale cocktail party the other night, just your usual enchanted mixer. Cinderella was there, sipping pumpkin spice martinis and side-eyeing the stepsisters. The Little Mermaid showed up in a wetsuit claiming she's taking a break from men. And then there was Pinocchio, awkwardly standing in the corner, nervously sipping apple juice through a juice box because, turns out, he's still traumatized from being literally sold as a donkey. And that's when it hit me. This little puppet's origin story? It isn't the sweet coming-of-age tale Disney sold us. Nope. It's a deeply messed up fever dream dipped in child endangerment, animal transformations, and wooden existential crises. So buckle up, because today on Once Upon a WTF, we're unpacking the original Pinocchio, and it's way more Saw than Frozen. The puppet with a death wish. Let's start with the basics. The OG Pinocchio was written by Carlo Collodi back in 1881, a time when Italian authors apparently thought kids needed severe emotional trauma with their bedtime stories. Geppetto, our poor woodcarver dad, doesn't just lovingly build a puppet son. No, the piece of wood is already alive and starts heckling people before it's even carved. That's right, this block of wood was talking trash while still being a tree part. Red flag number 1. But Geppetto's lonely, so he whittles the wood anyway. And boom, Pinocchio springs to life, instantly gives his dad the wooden version of a middle finger and bolts. Within hours of being born, Pinocchio sells Geppetto's coat for theater tickets. Like, "Sir, you are hours old. Go touch grass." Oh wait, you are grass. So everyone remembers Jiminy Cricket, right? Adorable conscience in a top hat, Disney's walking TED Talk? Yeah, well, in the original story, Pinocchio handles things differently. The cricket shows up, offers some life advice, and instead of saying thanks, Pinocchio gently relocates him from the land of the living with a hammer. Look, we're not saying he permanently deactivated Jiminy's account, but let's just say the cricket stops giving advice after that chapter. That's not even the wildest part. Pinocchio gets suspended from a tree by his hoodie, by 2 animal con artists dressed like a fox and a cat, we'll get to them later, and Collodi originally just ended the story there. The puppet just logs out. Disney saw that and said, needs more whales and jazz numbers. Enter the animal mafia, the fox and the cat. The fox and the cat are basically the original MLM recruiters. They convince Pinocchio to bury his money in the Field of Miracles, promising it'll grow into a tree full of cash. Pinocchio, who again has the street smarts of a spoon, falls for it. Spoiler, no miracle, just mugging. They rob him blind and leave him hanging from a tree like a discount Christmas ornament. These two show up again later, only this time the fox is maimed and tailless, and the cat has gone fully blind. Which, suggests some pretty heavy karma. Moral of the story? If you scam a puppet, the universe will clap back eventually. Toyland like Vegas for children, but with more donkeys. Remember Pleasure Island in the Disney version? In the book it's called Toyland, and it's exactly what it sounds like. A lawless zone where boys are encouraged to skip school, play all day, and generally act like toddlers with a Red Bull addiction. There's no supervision, no structure, basically Twitter, but real life. But here's the catch. Any boy who indulges too long in Toyland slowly turns into a donkey, like physically. Hooves, brays, tail. It's terrifying. There's even one scene where a donkey warns Pinocchio not to go, yelling, "This is a trap!" And everyone's just like, "Haha, cool cosplay, bro!" Pinocchio ignores all of it, wakes up one morning with donkey ears, and proceeds to fully transform into a braying beast of burden. He gets sold to a circus, injures himself during a trick, and is then resold to a guy who wants to turn his hide into a drum. Not a metaphor. That's what literally happens. I would say, what the heck, but I think heck might be more humane than this story. Rescued by fish, swallowed by a sea monster. Just when you think the trauma's over, it escalates. The would-be drum maker ties Donkey Pinocchio up and tosses him into the ocean to let nature handle things. Because sure, this is a children's story. But surprise! A school of fish nibble away the donkey parts, revealing the puppet body underneath. Again, fish eat him back to normal. That's not even the weirdest water moment. He swims away, only to get swallowed whole by a giant dogfish, aka Monstro's uglier, more aggressively Italian cousin. Inside the stomach, he finds Geppetto, who's just been chilling in whale purgatory for 2 years, surviving off supplies from a sunken ship. Apparently, nobody taught this man how to pick locks or digest trauma. How do they escape? Fire? Tricks? Nope. They ride a tuna, like a sentient uberfish. I'm sorry. What? From menace to menace with a work ethic. Once free, Pinocchio actually starts trying. He gets a job with a farmer, who just casually owns Candlewick, the boy who dragged him to Toyland, who's now a donkey working himself into burnout. Candlewick isn't doing great. Let's just say he's retired from adventuring, permanently. Pinocchio, however, milks cows, weaves baskets, reads books, and cares for his recovering father. And when he saves up money to buy a new suit, a talking snail shows up and is like, "Yo, remember that fairy? She's not doing so hot." And our boy just hands over all his money without a second thought. That night, he dreams the fairy kisses him on the forehead, and the next morning, boom, he's a real boy, wearing a new suit, with 40 gold coins in his pocket. Moral of the story? Apparently being poor, obedient, and sad pays, eventually, maybe. If a ghost bug forgives you, and a fairy smooches you in your dreams. Final thoughts from the puppet pile. Look, the original Pinocchio isn't just dark. It's a straight-up trauma speedrun. It's about how childhood is a battlefield, adulthood is a punishment, and the only way to earn love is to suffer, sacrifice, and get partially eaten. A lot. It's the story of a sentient puppet who gets lied to, bullied, transformed, exploited, nearly upcycled into percussion equipment, and forced to watch his friend turn into livestock. Before he gets his happy ending. Honestly, Disney owes us all an apology. Alright, that's it for this week's episode of Once Upon a WTF, where the magic gets stripped down to its deeply upsetting skeleton. If you liked this twisted tale of donkey transformations and fish-assisted rebirth, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share with that one friend who thinks fairy tales are cute. Next week, we're cracking open The Little Mermaid, the real version, where she doesn't get the guy, doesn't get legs, and ends up as decorative sea foam while everyone claps awkwardly. Yeah, fairy tales are not okay. Stay weird, people.